Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about being heartbroken. So if you are currently in an emotional state on the back of feeling some heartbreak, or you've been heartbroken in the past and you want some useful tools to have in your toolbox to know how to deal with it better in the future, if you have a situation where you have a break from your current relationship and you just want to know, is there a possibility that you can attract him back and progress from there onto a better relationship? So in this episode, I want you to know that there is hope for the heartbroken. So if you've ever wondered after a breakup how you can attract him back, then this is the episode for you, because I'm going to be giving you 3 ways to know that you still can resolve things and reconcile and attract him back. I want you to know, and it's obvious really, when you see other people around you, that couples split up and get back together all the time, and we tend to forget that when it happens to ourselves. And I researched something recently that said that in a study of 1,000 people that had been reunited from around the world, there were about 6% who said they'd actually been divorced and then remarried the same person. That doesn't sound like a high percentage, but that's just the people that have been married, not just in a relationship. So on a more positive note, 72% of those who reunited stayed together, particularly if those separations occurred when they were at a younger age. And that doesn't mean that it won't happen if you're in a relationship where you're older, but the chances are that you have a higher percentage of success if it's happened when you've been younger. So although it's not common to remarry the same person, it just does illustrate that breakups and reconciliations come with a history of actually loving somebody. You must have loved that person at some point in the past. And having a break also gives you both the opportunity to take a closer look at what you want and then build something stronger and more fulfilling than you ever had before. So in some ways, there can be some blessings on the back of a stressful, challenging situation where you're currently feeling very heartbroken. And we can't grow and progress if we're scared of making mistakes in our relationships. So simply put, we need to learn from our past experiences so we can move forward and create something even better going forward. So when you know that there's 3 traits of the male psychology and relationships, you'll see that you have an opportunity to move past any mistakes and back into his arms. So in this episode, I'm going to be discussing 3 traits that are going to give you hope for that relationship to be reconciled in the future. And trait 1 is that generally men are emotionally insecure. Usually men find it very difficult to open up to women because they've been parented and educated from a very young age not to show their emotions. And I'm sure we've all heard in one form or another that the statements that big boys don't cry. And they tend to have that reinforced, either consciously or subconsciously, right from, when they're first born. So men tend to learn to suppress their emotions in order to exude strength and confidence and control and power, because that makes him feel manly. So for a man to express himself emotionally and to feel vulnerable, he has to risk looking weak and unstable in front of other men. So it's a big deal for a man. So what you'll find is that most men use an invisible guard to keep a woman at arm's length, away from the hearts, because they're afraid of their own vulnerabilities and insecurities. They're scared that if a woman knows how they really feel about her, she may crush him with that knowledge, and he'll be left then defenceless and weak. So it's actually understood in a man's world that emotional expression is forbidden unless they find a woman who makes them feel safe enough to let it all out without being judged. Men only hide their hearts from women because they are scared of their judgment. So the message here is to make it safe for your man to share without judgment and lead the way in that. So if you know that your man has ever lowered his emotional guard, even an inch with you, and you've had that glimpse into his heart, you will know that you have shared a part of him that nobody else has. So trait 2, men are protectors. Healthy masculine men are protectors, and it wounds him deeply to see his woman crying or hurting. So if you're heartbroken after a breakup, there is a part of him that desperately wants to come to your rescue. And what will be actually happening in his mind is that he'll be fighting with his masculine ego right now. And that will be a reason why probably his behaviour has left you feeling quite confused, because on the one hand, you'll probably be energetically feeling that he's having a wrestle with himself. And that's because he'll be fighting with himself, because on the one hand, he wants to stand firm on his decision to end the relationship. But on the other hand, he's emotionally invested, and his male pride and ego would never allow him to say this to you, but he also wants to be your knight in shining armour, so hence that conflict within his own head. So the real secret around knowing this is how to tap into his masculine protector self without it coming across as being controlling or manipulative. And I've spoken in previous episodes about the power of vulnerability, and that coming from a strong, safe, powerful place. So if you're not sure how to express your vulnerability from a strong, powerful state, then look into my previous episodes. I have discussed this because it can be very, very easy to make a mistake where vulnerability is concerned. But if you know how to use your natural feminine vulnerability, this is when it can be at its most powerful. But what I do see is most women making the mistake of using the power of the vulnerability in a manipulative way. And what I mean by that is where their emotion is shown from a place of fear in their head, not from a place of love in their heart. And what actually happens then is that he'll energetically feel that this feels manipulative, and it'll have the opposite effect on bringing him closer to you. He'll actually resent it and want to pull away. So a woman should just be genuine with her vulnerability and show or express how she feels in a really high value, authentic way. And as I said, there are previous episodes where I've discussed vulnerability in a lot more detail, and how that you can actually represent and feel that genuinely, so that he picks up that there's genuinely authentic vulnerability coming out to him, rather than this manipulative other side that is going to make him want to pull away. And then on to trait number 3. Men on the whole can be quite lazy, and I'm not saying that that's the case in every area of their life, but most men tend to find that creating new emotional attachments with women can feel very draining to them. So remember that the love and connection that you've shared with him previously was real, and that can never be taken away. It can only be changed and transformed. And at this moment in time, your man might be emotionally cold towards you. He might even be totally disconnected and distant, or not even speaking to you. Or maybe you're in a situation where you don't even know where he is, and you're feeling really isolated and alone. But just trust that the love and connection is still there. And at the moment, it's transformed into your current situation. So if you know that it's possible for that connection to change negatively, you also now know that the situation can change positively. And by listening to earlier episodes of this podcast, you'll understand that you can do that in a very healthy, high-value feminine way that will enable you to both have a relationship that going forward will be even stronger, more connected and better than it ever was before. So trust what's being shared, and have massive hope for the future. Your stressings can be your blessings, and in hindsight, you can at some point soon in the future look back and think, you know what, this happened for a bigger, better reason, and now you've got a relationship that's phenomenal. And it probably wouldn't have been it if you hadn't gone through this particular challenge at this moment in time. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there. And I want you to always remember that true love starts with opening your heart. So goodbye for now. Until next time, with love from Lyn.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.